We're live! Yay! Whether
We're
it
live.
stays live,
We're here
we're
again.
live. We're live. We're back again. But it's good to be back. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long. It's just, man. You know, it's so hard to line up schedules, and then like you're kind of on your off days, you're like. I love this podcast, but like sometimes when you're like on like your off days and you're like doing this, but like you like doing this podcast, like it's usually like it seems like a chill thing, but then like you realize like you put a lot of brain power into it.
It takes energy, man.
Yeah, it does. Like it's not like going out, like everything takes energy. Like you're that's some no matter what. Like if you're like and you're doing your hobbies, it's not there's no off switch. But yeah, no, it's good to be back. But yeah, no, we got so much fucking shit to talk about. It's just I don't even know where to start. I think there's one story that I want to. I think there's one place we should start, and then there's my Twitter saying that we're live, which is good. Obviously you have some stories, I have some stories. I think we should just get straight into it, and I'm sure there's a few people said they're going to join us in the chat, so we'll get started then, because we got a lot to talk about, and we're obviously trying to get this done in a nice hour to an hour and 15-minute little package, nice tight little package. So Kieran, if you remember the intro, there's my dog right on cue. He's back. He chased after a fox the other night. My parents were away for a week, and I was at home minding the dog, and like I was like walking him I was taking him for a walk, and all of a sudden he sprinted off, and then all of a sudden I see a fox sprinting up and but just walking back like nothing happened. Fella's a fucking dope
maniac, man.
He's a maniac. Oh, can't get copyright. Don't copyright. What's cracking, big dog? Toby is here. That's one person here. That's all we need. And what a man! What a man to be here. The big dog. All right, Kieran. Let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about. 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Hallway Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Kieran Brennan. With me, as always, my co-host,
the man that genetics forgot ran. It's been a while since I said that, Kieran. It's been a while since I heard your beautiful voice. How are you?
I'm great. I got a PlayStation 5. I actually got one. I'm loving it. I'm having a great time. I'm playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. That's what I was doing this morning. So much. It's so fucking good. I really love that game. I'm way into it. I think I'm near the end.
Nice. How much stress was there to get the PlayStation 5? Or is it
a birthday surprise for me? So I had no stress. It was the people around me that did. So I'm having a fucking great time. I have all the joy, none of the stress. It's fantastic.
All the joy, none of the stress. That's an Instagram bio if ever I've heard one. But yeah, fantastic. That's a great way to start. That's a good note. But yeah, since we were last on the podcast, the heat wave that we were talking about left. The rain came. It's been quite miserable the last few days. Back to normal Irish weather. There's your weather update. But yeah, man, what a mad time in the world of wrestling. Like world of wrestling is imploding and exploding in front of our very eyes. Kieran, how much have you kept up with it? I know you've been engrossed in your PlayStation, but a lot's been going on. How much of a general gist do you have on the landscape of the professional wrestling landscape these days?
I must have missed a lot if you're going this crazy about it. Because the biggest thing I've heard is Bray Wyatt's release, which was crazy to me.
Yeah, we'll start there, but
Does it get bigger?
Yeah, we'll talk about NXT afterwards, and the plan. But yeah, I'll get the article up actually. But yeah, Bray Wyatt has been released. Wyndham Rotunda, a shock release after 12 years in the company on Saturday. He had been part of the main roster since 2010. That's wrong. I think he was part of the main roster since 2013, if I'm not mistaken. In addition, he was
in like the next
WWE champion. Oh, he was correct. Yeah, that makes sense. WWE champion, a two-time Universal champion, Raw and SmackDown tag titles. He had not appeared on programs since the night after WrestleMania 37, after the whole Randy Orton Alexa Bliss stuff. The reports that it was due to mental health issues were debunked, which is good. It's good to hear that he wasn't suffering. There was reports that kind of broke Lee's death that kind of hit him hard, which it probably did, but that wasn't the reason for his absence. He had gotten in great shape, and he's apparently clear to wrestle. He tweeted saying he missed the fans. Kieran, what are your thoughts, man? You were not to disrespect the dead, but he was absolutely dog water in the ring. But he wasn't great in the ring. Or my thought, like, I didn't really click with him in the ring, but like I can't knock the creativity of the man and the character work, and I'm sure there'll be a place for him somewhere. But Kieran, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it.
He had a handful of really great matches when he was Bray Wyatt as the Fiend. Not a single fucking good match, except maybe the one against Finn Balor, and that was purely just like an exhibition shit, you know.
I think the one against Finn Balor, Kieran, was personally like a kind of this is the new shiny toy. I think that was a lot better than we thought, because he was like the new thing, and it was kind of like an impact. I don't think,
but it was still cool. He had the great match against Dean Ambrose back in the day at SummerSlam. No, Survivor Series. He had like a good feud with John Cena. They had a great match at Payback. It was like one of the last man standing match. Yeah. So he had a couple of great matches. It's just, as the Fiend, his in-ring stuff is so dead, and the crowd are so dead for it, and that character was just wasted, and I feel so bad for the guy. I have no idea why they've let him go. It's a massive mistake, but I guess they're just not using him correctly.
Budget cuts, man. He's on a massive contract. And a team this year with WWE
or some shit then to justify it, you know.
WWE are, as we'll talk about in a bit with NXT, they're trimming the fat. They're readying for a sale. It's you can see it from a mile away. Bray Wyatt was on a massive contract. He wasn't doing much. They literally gave Alexa Bliss his gimmick and then fired him. It's sad, and like, I'm so out of touch. Like, I watch WWE through YouTube clips now, and it's sad. The kind of the morale around the company. The reports backstage NXT last night was not good. Sean Ross Sapp reporting that, like, oh boy, he literally tweeted, oh boy, no, people are not happy at the backstage, and that brings us on, like, obviously, hopefully Bray Wyatt, I don't see him going to AEW, but wherever he goes, I think he'll do fantastic work. He'll have a big price tag, but I'm sure there's a company that will use him to the best of his ability, whatever. But it seems like he had a kind of darker Fiend character planned, because he tweeted out like a photo of this kind of like blacker kind of version of like the Fiend, like teasing people. So hopefully we see that and see how it goes. But Kieran, he wasn't the only release, because sorry, go ahead. You can have the final say on Bray Wyatt.
He would work. His character at least would almost work better on the indies, purely because you're not being exposed to the same audience on a constant basis, and whatever you're doing will definitely feel fresh. Like if he just came to OTT, does a crazy video package, and then has a quick exhibition match or some shit, it would be great, as opposed to going to AEW where he's on TV every second week or something. You just kind of get used to it, probably, like what happened in WWE.
Yeah, well, the UK and Irish indies are aren't really there at the moment, and they still remain.
This is the one that we'd see, I guess.
Yeah, the American indie, there's a lot of good American indie stuff going on at the moment. One of the best matches this week is Wheeler Yuta versus Danny Garcia, who debuted on Dynamite and has a singles match on Dynamite. Yeah, that's a recommendation I've seen all over the place at IWTV 100. Fantastic match. Both fellas are doing their thing on Dynamite at the moment as well. We'll get on to AEW later, because listen, I hate to say it because I am an AEW fan, but WWE are going like this and AEW are going like this, and with the imminent debuts of Bryan and Punk, the day that the ratings for Raw this week were 1.7 million, AEW drew 1.2 million 4 weeks in a row. The day that AEW beats Raw on the ratings is going to be a great day on Twitter, and it is coming soon. Because if Bryan and Punk debut, your best believe they're gone.
A fucking fanboy right now. Like,
No,
but
but
what you mean, but like, so
no, but I don't give a shit. I'm an AEW fan. I'm going to stay up for the show tonight. I'm not on work tomorrow. I'm going to stay up for the show and really fucking enjoy it. Like I'm a fanboy and proud. Me and Toby in the chat, we got into the Discord with a couple of lads and watched Dynamite, and it's really nice to be excited about wrestling, and you see something fresh every week. The Malachi Black, we'll talk about Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes. Did you see that, Kieran? Did you fucking see that? How can you not get fucking excited about shit like that? It's just exciting. But I need to take myself down a peg because there is some really bad news. And it's really, really, it's really, really sad because for years, Kieran, do you remember we got excited about NXT takeovers? Yeah. Sorry, Toby, it's going to happen. AEW beats Raw on the ratings or NXT UK ends. This doesn't know what NXT UK is, Toby. We've discussed this before, so I think it might be AEW beats Raw on the ratings.
Like, assuming AEW does get to WWE level, which I'm doubtful of just for now, but assuming it will happen at some stage, it's nice that I'd be a much more WWE guy and you can be the AEW guy. We can have a little war ring. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I'm going to fucking knock you the fuck out is what I'm... but no, NXT changes is what I'm looking up, and sadly that's what I'm looking up. Remember, NXT was the big... There's a big takeover coming up, but sadly it's been kind of... There's a dark cloud cast over it with... a lot of cuts last week during SmackDown, by the way. During SmackDown, 13 people were released from their contract. 13 NXT superstars were cut on Friday. Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis made the call rather than Triple H. Triple H is completely not involved in this apparently.
I heard apparently he's trying to save people or whatever.
Yeah, and now the names on this list are just, some of them are just crazy. But yeah, we'll talk about the names first, and then we'll talk about the reason why. Sean Ross Sapp was the first to report the latest release. Bobby Fish, that's the biggest one. The Undisputed Era member, Bobby Fish. Bronson Reed, who had a dark match on Raw last week and was the North American champion as of 2 weeks ago. Jake Atlas. Ari Sterling, also known as Alex Zane on the Indies, who was only signed in January. Kona Reeves, a long-time NXT superstar. Leon Ruff, North American champion as of this year. Stephon Smith. Tyler Rust, who just became a member of the Diamond Mine faction with Roderick Strong. Zachariah Smith. Asher Hale, also known as Anthony Henry. Giant Zangier, who was in the main event of that India expansion. Remember that India expansion event that had Drew McIntyre? And finally, Mercedes Martinez. Martinez has been cut while she's recovering from a concussion. So, yeah, budget cuts. The company Recent Action indicated they're preparing for a sale. they fired the Jack Devons, Anthony Paul Henry. So we stopped popping me on. Stop. On some of the inside jokes from Toby are just popping me in here. But yeah, no, this is just really, really, really crazy. Some of them names, I read them out to you. You probably haven't seen a lot of them names. But Kieran, talk to me when you hear that list of names. I'm sure Bobby Fish is the most impactful one for you because of the Undisputed Era, but just talk to me about that list of names because then I'll go on and what
as well.
He wasn't very happy.
These aren't people who are really on the undercard per se or whatever. They weren't doing pre-shows or some shit. They were on NXT. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a serious disconnect between NXT and the main roster, and that further proved it by there was a lot of people having main event matches and dark matches, Kieran, this week, and Kota Kai, who turned heel on Raquel Gonzalez and is going for the title at TakeOver against Raquel Gonzalez, lost to Aaliyah on main event in 2 minutes.
What do you think about the Karrion Kross thing that happened with Jeff Hardy?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's then Karrion Kross lost to Keith Lee last week. Lost Keith Lee 2 weeks ago, beat him, and then beat Jeff Hardy this week. Yeah, okay. And then I've got the report here. Between the 13 NXT wrestlers cut on Friday and PW Insider's follow-up report regarding changes to coming NXT's presentation, the future of WWE seems to be heading a different direction. With Dave Meltzer saying on Wrestling Observer to recap what happened with NXT, Vince, Bruce, and John Laurinaitis made the call out of Triple H, and big change are coming on how the brand will be handled. The brand's original concept was to be solely developmental for WWE's main roster while building up potential WrestleMania main eventers, and the cuts are made to take away wrestlers deemed too small or too old. Kieran, that line, too small or too old, fucking annoys me because of what's going on at SummerSlam. I understand that the people who are too old that are John Cena are gonna draw people in for SummerSlam, but like fucking hell, we're not stupid. Like Jesus Christ, like gone too old and then bringing back people like having Randy Orton return to Raw this week, having just so many people that are just over 40 years of age in the company, and then go out and say too old. Fair enough if you just said too small. Well, it's not really fair enough, but I'd accept. But saying too old and then having all these old timers come back and have these legends,
like if you're paying someone close to triple figures or something, I don't know what it would be in NXT. You're like higher, like double digits or some shit.
Oh, they don't get paid a lot. No, have you heard about the NXT? The NXT.
If someone's getting up there in terms of age and they're maybe past their prime, from their perspective, it probably isn't worth the risk of like losing out on somebody from the main event, as opposed to a Randy Orton, because most of the people on the main roster who are older are definitely a draw or have been with the company a long time. So I do understand that, but it's still crazy. I don't really want a presentation change for NXT. I don't know what that means. That's
no,
really, especially if Vince is like handling it.
Yeah, Kieran, they're going back to developmental, I think. USA directors aren't happy because obviously they signed a massive TV contract, and now it's sad. It's honestly it's sad to see. Like there's obviously the takeover card. We've got Ilya versus Walter. Ilya Dragunov versus Walter in the rematch on TakeOver on American soil. That was announced, but then Ilya goes and loses to Pete Dunne in a main event last night. 2 weeks before the show. I mean, Pete Dunne's great, but like if you're having Ilya fight Walter, you haven't beat Pete Dunne in that main event. We got Adam Cole doing the exact same match he had against Johnny Gargano against Kyle O'Reilly, and that's the 2 out of 3 falls. Singles match, street fight, and cage match. That's probably going to go 70 minutes, which is another kind of talking point. Another talking point, speaking of Pete Dunne and Adam Cole, both of their contracts are up soon. The news that Adam Cole had a very high-profile meeting with Vince McMahon, and Vince took a liking to him, and they're reportedly ready to offer him $1 million contract. What were your thoughts when I don't know if you heard about this, Kieran, but both Pete Dunne and Adam Cole's contracts are coming up. Adam Cole, his girlfriend is his wife, or I think it might be like Britt Baker, is one of the biggest in AEW and is defending their title on that new Rampage show on Friday. It's like, why wouldn't he have a look at AEW? I'm sure he's spoken to AEW and using it as leverage for a new contract with WWE, but like, it's crazy to think that
it is leverage, but I think he is very happy within, at very least, NXT, and WWE have treated him really well. He's one of the people who has just been treated well. Pete Dunne is a bit more in the air. From what he says and what he's talked about, he seems like someone who would be more inclined to go with WWE than go out on his own. But also, he's been in the company a while now, and he's never really gotten a He's never really gotten a call-up per se, or whatever you might say.
I just don't think he, unfortunately, if he leaves WWE, I don't think there's he is fantastic and was fantastic, but I think he suits WWE where you can put a big man behind him who can cut his promos. Like, his promos aren't exactly fantastic. He's very
good wrestler. Like
he is very good in ring, but I just think he suits the WWE product. I think he'll sign a new contract. But yeah, it's just sad to see that obviously NXT is going to change, and it's kind of on the down right now. Whatever happens, like honestly, it's crazy to see. I'm almost lost for words because like I used to watch NXT on a regular basis. I just haven't been able to get invested in it, and this was coming for a long time. You can see the main roster kind of look to NXT for the last couple of years. A lot more kind of character. Like there's a lot of good character work, but like I remember getting so excited for takeovers, and some of the takeover matches they have would be insane. But it's like I'll pick and choose some of the takeover matches. But it's very hard. It's going to be very hard to watch takeover with this cloud being cast over it. If it's cleared up by then I might like what. But like you know what I mean. Like it's kind of like I'd love to get invested in it, but I can't because it could just Vince could just go like that, and NXT like everything could be cut. So it's honestly it's mad. The backstage morale was not good last night apparently. Basically Meltzer continued saying general feeling that NXT has ventured out. Originally it was a competition for Ring of Honor, then it became the competition for AEW. When Ring of Honor started showing life and the independent scene started showing life, this is supposed to be them getting that fan base. Then it became the competition for AEW. What happened now? Now they want to get it back to what it was, and so there's cuts were made, and these were the guys that were cut, and there's going to be changes. Power play is a weird word, but there's divisive opinions about wrestling among key people, and they're fighting for Vince's ear, and this is the ear that Vince has this week. Sorry, this is directly from Meltzer, and Meltzer's quotes are also always fucked. Next week he may listen to someone else's ear and go in a completely different direction, but that's what happened this week. They're signing that Gable Stevenson guy, the guy who won the gold medal in the Olympics for the US.
Why not?
Trying to get a Kurt Angle 2.0. But yeah, NXT very up in the air as of now. Kind of scary. But yeah. Another big news story we're going to go over to AEW is Max Caster. I don't know if you heard about this, Kieran. Max Caster is one half a tag team called The Acclaimed. He's the guy who raps his way to the ring. And a couple of weeks ago on Dark, obviously, backstory to this is, remember in the Olympics, Simone Biles, don't know if you've heard of her, she pulled out of the Olympics events due to mental health issues. Max Caster went on Dark and decided to include a rap about Simone Biles' mental health. And he also had he made like the Duke lacrosse team, which is a rape controversy in it was terrible, and it made its way onto Dark. Tony Khan has since got rid of the guy who edited Dark and said he's going to edit Dark himself, and they have suspended Max Caster as of yesterday for 2 months, and it's yet to be seen if his pay will go to charity like Sammy Guevara's did, but hopefully he has to do sensitivity training and pass those to get back. So it's on one hand it's terrible that this happened, but that's a very good way to deal with a situation like that. Sensitivity training and hopefully donate his money to a bit of charity. But there's a lot of wrestling's big about like the suspension thing was already debunked, was it? Okay, the report here is that he was suspended, but I think even he should be for kind of using that for heat. I know wrestlers use anything for heat, but when it goes into kind of real life issues and people really struggling, I don't think that's the way to go. I think sensitivity training and donate his wages for a couple of months to charity at the very least. I don't know what your thoughts on stuff like that is, Kieran. I know there's a lot of promos where people bring a lot of real life things in, but there's a very, very fine line. Yeah,
no, don't, basically. Definitely going, probably should be suspended. You said that was debunked, right?
He's on ice, according to Walk. Okay, I got a report from Walk Culture. Sensitivity training has been considered. He was still with the promotion. Sorry, I read a report from Ringside News. I should never do that. Apologies, Ringside. But he's on ice, and fuck Ringside News for making a fuck. I really should have read the top of that page before I read the article. I never read something from Ringside News. But he called the rap terrible and vowed to take over as Dark's editor. Tony Khan did. And that's very good. It's kind of taking the bull by the horns and nipping it in the bud. And that's what we love to see. We don't want to see like serious real life issues being brought up like that. But yeah,
it's a bit fucking gross.
It is. But yeah, what have we got next? Report Becky Lynch, Kieran. Becky Lynch is reportedly scheduled to be at SummerSlam in some capacity. I don't know in what capacity, but I remember, I don't know what podcast I heard, I listened to yesterday, but maybe, I think it might have been Cultaholic. Yeah, I got that tweet, Toby. Thanks, man. But yeah, maybe like at the end of a match, he shows them in the crowd just a face off. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, Kieran, what are your thoughts on Rebecca Lynch? And then thoughts on SummerSlam in general? I'll get the card up and we'll run through and get your thoughts on.
Yeah, because I do have a bit. It has like a bit more of a Big Show feel, almost than Mania. I feel like a lot of the appeal of Mania was just the crowds are back aspect, and now this kind of has a better.
Let's hope it's in front of a crowd, because obviously America's slowly slipping back. There's reports that the Thunderdome might be considered again, but fingers crossed, man. Maybe
that would fucking suck.
Yeah,
get vaccinated. If you're listening to this in America, get vaccinated. What are you doing?
It's basically down to like the reports that they're bringing in a mask mandate, and Vince and Kevin Dunn do not want to film people with masks on. Basically.
Really?
Fuck yeah, that. I don't know. But yeah, Kieran, I'll get the SummerSlam card up. But Becky Lynch, what do you think having her in the crowd would just like ruin the big surprise return, or?
I don't know. Probably yeah, but like if she's just in the crowd, I'm just gonna make the assumption that she won't be around for a while still, until minimum Survivor Series. When did she have her child? I don't know. Like I don't know maternity leave and how long she like is allowed to be gone. Then again, she's Becky Lynch. She can probably be gone for as long as she fucking wants. They can't do anything. I don't know. I think she's back in a wrestling capacity until at least the next one of the big four, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. She'd be great in the Rumble. That's my prediction right now. She'll be in the Rumble. She'll win it. That's her big return.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens. December is when she had a show. Thanks, Brinkley. But yeah, Edge versus Seth Rollins is the first match. Good story.
Massive match.
Good story. I don't know how much in ring I'll enjoy. I'm not a big fan of heel Seth Rollins in ring. Brinkley's debut, like that's another good friend of ours. Hopefully we're watching AEW. I'm not sure. The card's looking decent, but it's not like it's first kind of maimed kind of a Dynamite and Oil, so it should be interesting. We're building it all out in a month. But yeah, Edge versus Seth Rollins. Kieran, yes. Obviously they're I think I predicted this, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I've
been saying this for a long time.
Yeah, it's a built-in story since 2014. Like, I don't know how good the match is going to be, but I think this is going to be a lot more storyline driven than the in-ring, if I'm being brutally honest. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. But I don't know, Edge has kind of been he's quite good in the ring since he's come back. He's been, or at least better than expected. And Seth Rollins still is a fantastic wrestler, even if he hasn't been an amazing character. So it'll be a SummerSlam match, you know? It'll be a mix of both, hopefully.
Yeah, a rumored match. I'm going to give you a rumored match. Oh. Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal in the Punjabi prison.
Oh my, okay. I presume the Punjabi prison is the rumor part, yeah.
Well, they're heading towards a feud, but like I'm assuming Punjabi prison is going to be brought back pretty soon.
Why? Why are you assuming that? That's
this is actually
a weird stipulation to presume.
But man, it's like Jinder Mahal brought it back for Randy Orton, and this is pretty intense feud. I would not, and Jinder has two people that are beating up Drew every week, and Drew is beating them up.
That's true.
Yeah, it's so telegraphed. It's like we put them in a steel cage. No, he's Indian. Punjabi prison.
Match. Yeah. You might be right. Fucking go for it. Go for it. I don't care. May as well.
Yeah, that was a terrible match. The Usos as the champions fighting the Mysterios in a SmackDown tag title match. I think we're entering into kind of every summer we have the Usos just fight. the same tag team for like 3 months in a feud while they're champion. And like this is it. This is it again. And it's kind of marred and kind of obviously Jimmy is still on TV after his DUI run-in, so that's that kind of contentious affair. But yeah, I've seen that match way too many times. I don't know if there's anything else to add to that. Kieran?
It'll be good. We know that.
Yeah, Dominic is looking very good. Let's just Dominic is improving so much, and there was kind of a backstage thing with him and Edge, and Edge is such a cool guy. That's just I just want to say that Edge just seems like every time you see him on like documentaries or like backstage stuff, he just seems like the nicest guy. Nikki ASH, the superwoman or whatever you want to fucking the cash grab for WWE in terms of the kind of the new champion versus Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Oh, another fucking Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley involved match. Yeah, I am not one least bit interested in this, and it's like on Nikki Cross. It's just Charlotte Flair, isn't it? Really, it's she can't have a non-title feud. Reports came out this week that Andrade. Oh yeah, Ric Flair was released. Sorry, speaking of Charlotte, Ric Flair was released as well.
Weird. Apparently he was on like a really high fucking not budget. What would you call it? He was getting paid a lot more than he probably fucking should have.
Yeah, and reportedly he's training for an in-ring return, which I find hilarious. And go ahead.
No, don't believe that. Don't believe that for a second. He's gonna if he does that in AEW, fuck off. Genuinely.
No. Just have him go go back to TNA. Oh man, him and TNA would be hilarious. They can't afford him. Jesus, they'd fucking go out of business.
That's the one thing I'd like to see him do.
He's
72. Man. Oh my gosh.
And he nearly died 5 years ago, and he was in the gym being like, I'm training for an in-ring return. It's like, man, if he like just bleeds over him versus Jericho, just bleed all over each other, both over the hill and fucked. Yeah, that'd be sad to see, but like part of me would fucking laugh. But yeah, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. I mean, yeah, it was good. Like it was fantastic at WrestleMania. It gave us an amazing moment. But how are we meant to get invested in shit if they're not going to build a fucking story? Like they're just like going, oh yeah, Sasha gets the title, and Ric Flair's literally made out of Cheeto dust. Cheeto dust. Bianca and Sasha, like good match on paper, but like I can't get invested. And then a match that's not good on paper, and I'm not invested in is Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. Did you see Goldberg's son, Kieran? Did you see the change in him from 2016 to 2021?
Yeah, he looks a lot different. It's weird.
But yeah, I'm not. Well, what are your thoughts on like? I know Goldberg has these match contracts, but man, I am not one bit interested in seeing him in the ring. I
like it. Go for it. As long as he doesn't win, I don't mind. And that's kind of the thing with Goldberg, because I think his matches are fun and they're cheap and they're easy, and it's not going to main event. So within like if it's placed well within the structure of the card, it'll make for a nice quick energy booster or whatever. And that's what I feel like when you get these longer, big shows, they need a lot of variety, and Goldberg kind of offers that. You know what you're getting with him, As long as he doesn't win, though. That's the massive, massive asterisk beside all of what I've just said.
Yeah, Roman Reigns versus John Cena. Kieran, I'm interested to hear how you think this plays out, because I have no idea. Obviously, they tickled your pickle, Kieran, with teasing that Finn Balor was going to get the spot. What are your thoughts on that? Tell me your thoughts on the entire thing from the. Tell me I want to hear your thoughts on that, the Balor stuff, John Cena versus Roman Reigns, and the Baron Corbin character we're getting at the moment.
Baron Corbin character we're getting at the moment. Like him, I'm into that. It's a bit fucking different. It's so stupid and weird, but it's just because it's Baron Corbin that I think it's taking
the piss out of poor people as well. Good on WWE.
Fucking great. Hey man, budget cuts. They're gonna release half their staff and make a character who makes fun of how poor people are.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Only in fucking WWE. I loved when Finn Balor came back. Massive pop for me. No surprise there. I really wanted him to get in there. I thought they were going to do triple threat type thing. Looks like that's not going to happen. Why did they tease me? Why would you do that to me? It really annoyed me, because it
was never going to happen.
He was just NXT champion. He was just the face of your third brand. And then you tease us with this. Is he fighting Corbin now? Is that what it's looking like?
Oh, it seems likely, yeah.
Yeah, the last time that happened, he came out as like the demon at SummerSlam, so maybe we'll get that, and then it'll all be redeemed in my eyes. But
Nah,
ugh,
that shit's cheap. Um, like, as in, I don't see like he's been talking about like the demon may come back, but having to come back against Corbin. I remember they trademarked Happy Corbin. That's hasn't come to fruition yet, but like, yeah,
they trademark stuff all the time, though, and it's just in case they use it. I think.
yeah. Chelsea Green had to fight WWE for her name, her birth name. They trademarked her birth name. Yeah. But yeah, it's just it's I don't know. It's so hard to get invested in WWE stuff right now. Um,
I'm genuinely excited for SummerSlam.
oh no, yeah, it's going to be cool to see like a football stadium, 60,000 people. See what John Cena's like in the ring now. But yeah, it's time to segue, and I'm going to segue into this by I said it's going to be interesting to see how John Cena is in the ring. CM Punk has been reportedly in training, and apparently he's looking very good. Sean Ross Sapp reported that CM Punk is looking fantastic in his training because he's I'll just get the article up now. He's training obviously for the imminent in-ring return, and he's also training for something else. Just let me get it up. There was a report from PW Insider. No, sorry, I'll get it up on. I have it here on What Culture anyway. CM Punk has spent the past few months training for his imminent return to professional wrestling. Fightful spoke to multiple sources on the matter, all of whom worked with Punk over the last 6 months. The first commented that 42-year-old looked completely healthy compared to how he was in the final days of his WWE run. Remember, we had the reports of kind of lymphoma disease in Punk, and he had those feud with Ryback who just fucked him up. Compared to how he was. And Another said Punk looked very good. Well, it turned out he was working so well. It was as if he'd never been away from the sport. He's been training for his role in the upcoming Heels television show starring Stephen Amell, on top of working his own solo regime. The 20th episode of Rampage has been pinpointed for Punk's big comeback. The promotion has teased it itself, doing so upon announcing that the show will take place at the United Center in Punk's Chicago, Illinois hometown. The tickets sold out, 10,000 shifting in the pre-sale before the remaining vanished in under an hour of going on general sale. That's huge, Kieran. That is it. It's massive. 10,000 in the pre-sale. It'll be his first appearance since the Royal Rumble 2014. Kieran, it's an exciting time to be an AEW fan. They're building up to these. The Rampage debut this Friday. They're building up to All Out. And we'll talk about Hangman in a minute. I don't think Hangman's going to happen at All Out. I don't know yet, but the storyline is still intact. But Kieran, Punk and Bryan, just your thoughts now that it does seem like very, very imminent that they will be on our screens. Punk more so than Bryan, but both are very, very, very expected.
It would be I don't know. I'd be much more excited for Bryan to come back. I feel like all the Punk wrestling hype kind of died when he did backstage. For me, at least, because that was like, oh my gosh, CM Punk's back in WWE, and now it's just like, yeah, he's back wrestling. I can't imagine that he'd be particularly great because so much time has passed, but maybe I'm wrong. And I also don't think, from backstage, I don't think he's a particularly good promo anymore. And I also think he's a bit of a dick just from stuff he said on Twitter.
Oh, no, Kieran, sorry. Punk with them. Give Punk 10 minutes on Rampage. Open the show with Punk. But the man's going to... Man,
maybe it's just my perception of him has changed, and I'm just a bit more like, oh, go home, Punk. You're a jerk. I don't know.
Maybe once he gets the mic in his hand, you'll kind of rekindle that kind of... I've been watching a lot of 2014, but when Punk was like taking the piss out of John Laurinaitis, that was fucking hilarious. The promos, calling him Funk Man, and just all the stuff was just fantastic. So
really fast, and that's the thing.
Yeah, and Bryan is just exciting because just of the matches, like the American Dragon. Tony Khan better be splashing out on Final Countdown, because that would be insane if that hits. But yeah, looking forward to it. As for last week's show, so we'll go into the Hangman stuff, Kieran, while I need to give my the laptop charger. So since we last spoke.
No. Where's he gone? And he's gone. Okay, everybody. I'm holding down the fort for a bit while Reen figures this out. I don't know how he's going to come back. This has never happened before. Has it happened before? Probably. I'm going to check to see if the stream is running. What are we called? The hallway. Esling. I don't know. What do you guys think about Punk coming back? If there's anyone there. There's a comment there. My man froze. He hasn't moved in 40 minutes. Is he actually not, or is that a joke? Because I haven't really been looking at the screen, I'm not going to lie, until he just stopped talking. There he is. Will he talk, though?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry. I know that is a very good. I've ever seen the meme where it's like my man froze. He hasn't moved in 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very, very funny. Toby is such a comedian. But yeah, no, I'd be worried if I hadn't moved in 40 minutes. But yeah, give us your thoughts on Punk and. But yeah, Hangman. Me and Toby have been talking a lot about Hangman, so he can kind of aid me in this discussion. But so Fight for the Fallen, Kieran. We had the five-man tag between the Dark Order, Hangman, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. Did you see the entrances? They were fantastic. I cannot believe you haven't seen them. So the Dark Order came out to a massive. They all had matching kind of bandanas around their necks, the purple bandanas, and Kenny Omega and the Elite came out to Space Jam. They were all the heels. They came out to they came out to the Space Jam music. They were throwing the basketballs around. They jumped through like the kind of the thing that had like the kind of they were the Elite squad. Kenny, Air, Omega, and Gallows, Nanas, and we're loving it. So it was amazing, Kieran. Just going, the entrances were so good. It was fantastic, and it was left to the Young Bucks and Omega versus Hangman. Hangman was the sole survivor, and as try as he could, he eliminated one of the Young Bucks. But Kenny overwhelmed, and Kenny pinned Hangman 1, 2, 3, and Hangman lost his title shot, and the Dark Order lost theirs. The following week. Hangman came out and basically just licking his wounds. It was kind of kind of like, whoa, what's happening here? But obviously, there's reports that Hangman's having his child. We don't know whether that's being played into the story, but the story is still alive and well because Hangman basically came in and told the Dark Order he needs to go solo for a bit. He needs to fight these demons on his own, and half of them were like, no, you need us, and Uno and Grayson were like, let's give him his space, and he cut a promo in the ring, and the Elite came out and were being dickish heels, and they were like, oh, you want to rejoin the Elite, don't you? And then Hangman clocked Omega, and they all beat Hangman up, and a fantastic visual. The Dark Order sprinted down to the ring, but Grayson and Uno stopped him. We're like, no, he doesn't. He said he doesn't want us to help him. As Hangman took 3 V-triggers and a magic killer on the outside from the Good Brothers. Frankie Kazarian tried to run in, and he got beaten up as well because obviously he's doing the Elite Hunter stuff. So he left a CD on the counter that was played on being the Elite. He kind of made a kind of Elite recruitment video for them. That was kind of cool. Well, Kieran, this story has so much more to it, and it's scary how good they are booking this. I thought when we were watching it live, myself, Toby, and a couple of lads, and we were like, "Oh, this is interesting," but it kind of took the air out of that's how invested the crowd were. It took the air out of the crowd for a couple of matches. Mm-hmm. But since then, obviously, Hangman wants to go alone. Where the story progresses now, it remains to be seen. But that's just how good. Like, you don't know what's going to happen next, but you know it's going to be good. Obviously, I think Hangman, Stu and Uno have a TNA tag title match tonight against the Good Brothers. That's correct. But yeah, this story is 18 months and it's still going. Obviously, Christian is now the number one contender for Kenny's title, but there's reports like Christian might not be the main event, the All Out show. because they were saying that maybe Christian might be the Rampage show. He might still be the All Out pay-per-view, but I'm just very, very invested. I'm very interested to see this Hangman story. Obviously, on Saturday we have Andrade versus Kenny for the AAA title at Triple Mania, and the main event is Kenny versus Andrade, which is going to be a match I'm very, very interested in. But I still think Kenny's going to. I'm still standing by. Hangman is going to be the next person to pin Omega. Just the story is going in a slightly different direction than we thought it would, and slightly drawn out a little more. But yeah, it's crazy good. But yeah, elsewhere on the show, Kieran, we have the Labours of Jericho. I don't know if you've been following this story, but Jericho has to go through 5 Labours to get to MJF. The first one was Shawn Spears in the chair match, which he won. The second one was Nick Gage in a death match on Dynamite 2 weeks ago. Jericho fought Nick Gage in a death match. Did you see what happened? Nick Gage cut Jericho with a pizza cutter, and a Domino's ad came up. Like straight away, it was like picture in picture. Jericho, as he was getting his head cut with pizza cutter, a Domino's ad popped up on the screen, and apparently WWE wrote to Domino's complaining about AEW, and I think Domino's pulled their sponsorship or something, which was just hilarious. And Jericho went through glass, but he ended up winning. And then Jericho, it was announced that Jericho was fighting Kira. He was fighting Juventud Guerrera, his oldest rival. I don't know if you remember. Juventud Guerrera and Jericho had a feud in 1995 in WCW. And literally, MJF gets on the mic and cuts a promo bin saying, he goes, I hold a bit of a grudge, and he cuts to like the screen, and it's back in like 2019 on Dynamite, where do you remember the start of Dynamite where like MJF and Jericho got a few face-offs, and Jericho was like, I'd say you and your mom got horny watching me fight Juventud Guerrera on WCW Heat back in the day, and then you popped out 9 months later, and then he goes, the third labor of Jericho is Juventud Guerrera, one of the best luchadors of all time, and you must hit a move from the top rope. He hit the Judas Effect from the top rope and won. And then the fourth labor, the final one before MJF, is Jericho versus Wardlow. Wardlow came out and attacked him. And Kieran, I think this is Jericho's swan song. I think Jericho is gonna beat Wardlow, but I think at the pay-per-view, this is the way you get over MJF. You have him obliterate Jericho. You have Jericho move into a commentary phase. I'd love to see Wardlow win, Toby, but I think MJF is going to win. That's how you get MJF over. And I think MJF is going to be Punk's first feud. Obviously, Darby Allin has challenged the best in the world for Rampage, which I'm assuming Punk's going to come out to that. But I think MJF versus Punk is the way you start it off. He's been trained to fight. And I just think Punk and MJF, Kieran, that'll get you invested. Those two on the mic is the way to go. Punk has obviously spoken about MJF in very glowing terms. I just think it'll be fantastic. I think Jericho as a commentator is very good, and I think him on a part-time, a match every 6 months, I'd be interested in Jericho every 6 months. I think this is just a way of getting MJF over. What are your thoughts on Jericho if he were to transit at the end of his career, Kieran? If you were to transition into a commentary role, from what you've seen of him, I think he's kind of past it in the ring, but he's still very, very, very good on the mic. And he has the odd good match. But what are your thoughts on Jericho as a whole? And what were your if this is the end of Jericho's full-time career, what do you think? What are your personal thoughts towards Jericho? Were you a big fan of him? And what were some of your favorite moments of Jericho? Drink it in, man.
He's okay. I don't mind him. I've never been a fan of him in the ring. And I think all of his stories are kind of just all right, And they're always even the Kevin Owens Chris Jericho one was really good, and then the match was really shit. So it's kind of ruined that entire thing for me, at least, because I don't know. I always just remember the match, and apart from that, I can't remember anything else he's done. What happened?
To be fair, he is he put AEW on the map along with the Elite. He was the big name. He's built a lot of stars in there. I had my gripes against him. I remember I ranted about him for a long time. I just don't like him in the ring. I agree with you. As he's gotten older, I just don't click with him in the ring.
He's a good commentator, and I assume that's what he will end up as. Yeah,
I just hope he replaces Jim Ross, because the one thing about Dynamite I don't like is Jim Ross. He just I'm sorry, but how can I get invested in something if you can't even say Jungle Boy's name right? You fuck, like, bless Jim Ross, but like, he's just not very good anymore. He's out of touch with the product, and he's a very horny man. Rampage, it was announced that Rampage has 4 announcers: Mark Henry, Jericho, Taz, and Excalibur. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. We always don't like 4-man announcer booths, but let's see what happens. I don't think it'll. I hopefully it goes back to 3 very soon. I think they're just trying to get some big names on it. Another thing that happened on Dynamite that's very interesting, Kieran. Do you remember the tag team that just got released in NXT? What were they called in NXT? Someone can correct. Matt Martell and Chase Parker. Oh, what were they called? You'll know the name when you hear them. They're on the fringes. Toby, help me here. They're called 2.0 now. What were they called? NXT. I'm trying to look them up now. Matt Martell. Everrise 3.0. Everrise. Do you remember Everrise? The team that like kind of came in and out of WWE, and then they were like these kind of like loudmouth. They kind of got like half jobbers but half not. Look up Everrise NXT and tell me if you remember those faces. Just look at stick NXT in there because you won't get it otherwise. Those lads. Yeah. So they were fired a couple weeks ago, and they showed up on Dynamite and them and Daniel Garcia, who was the guy who had that amazing match against Wheeler Yuta. They had a trios match against Eddie Kingston, John Moxley, and Darby Allin with Sting at ringside, and it was fantastic. Daniel Garcia was really good. Moxley and Eddie Kingston were, and Darby Allin were as good as they always are. But there was a point in the match where like they got thrown to the outside, and the one with the ponytail, I think it's like I don't know what their new names are, but like he was helping his tag partner up to his feet, and then he saw Sting and he goes, "Oh my God, it's Sting!" And like threw his partner into the ground, and Darby Allin just did a suicide dive and jumped into him, and then they won in the end. And Sting, John Moxley, and Eddie Kingston like posed at the end. There's a photo of Sting doing the 2 sweet with like Moxley under one arm and Eddie Kingston under the other arm, going, "It's Sting, like fanboying out," and it was really, really good. But yeah, AEW is really strong. The Elite obviously beat down Hangman. We've got Red Velvet challenging Britt Baker for the title at Rampage. Miro is the champion, Kieran. He is the TNT champion. He's cutting promos about God and is it flex. He said, "Thank you, God, for my flexible wife and the TNT title." He's just, I love his character right now. His entrance is fantastic. And finally, to wrap up our show today, Kieran, Malachi Black. If you want to look up Malachi Black entrance on Google Images and just tell me what you think of his ring attire, his entrance was fantastic. He basically just came out, and then Cody came out, and we didn't know what to expect. But he was gouging Cody's eyes, put a half crab on, kicking the left knee. Cody was putting a figure 4, but it was kind of a little bit. It was a small bit of offense, but not much. Cody went to the top rope, and Malachi Black kicked him in the face, and he went through the announcer's table on the outside. And then Cody limped back into the ring, that kind of big baby face kind of limped back into the ring, like beating the 10 count by like 1. And everyone was like, "What's going to happen next?" Cody gets to his feet, black mass. Malachi Black puts his foot on Cody's chest, 1, 2, 3. He pinned him with his foot on his chest. He jumped Serena out so hard that our man contemplated retirement. Yeah, but Cody gets on the mic afterwards and hints at retirement. He concluded a reference to infighting amongst the EVPs, which was an interesting line. Before he could, he was removing his boots to like put them down the ring, and then Black smashed him with a crutch to end the show. Obviously, outside kayfabe, Cody Rhodes is going to film the go, But this was an amazing made out of Malachi Black. This is how you make someone look like a star on their first night. You fucking beat Cody in 4 minutes, have him put foot on his chest, and send him packing for a couple of months. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to see what Malachi Black does next. What do you think of the look? I really like it. The kind of like the deer antlers on the.
Yeah, I just watched the entrance there. Really cool stuff. I like the skull. I like that one of the eye is white. It's something.
Yeah, because remember Buddy Murphy smashed him into the steps. And speaking of Buddy Murphy released a prison VT, familiar by John Moxley. Do you remember John Moxley's prison VT? And in how will America recover from Coldster defeat? Yeah, I know, man, Jesus. But yeah, Buddy Murphy made in Malachi Black's kind of VT when he left WWE. He referenced Matthew, which is Buddy Murphy's real name. And how he remember when he rammed his eye into the steel steps? And then Buddy Murphy had a prison VT where he was where he was getting ready to get out of prison. There was a doctor ready checking up on him and stuff. So we could see Buddy Murphy join the House of Black. What would you think of that, Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black as a partnership on AEW? That's storytelling if it does happen. I don't know. It seems to kind of split opinion. But people are like, oh yeah, Buddy Murphy just copies Kenny Omega's moveset and stuff. I really like Buddy Murphy in ring. He does do a lot of knees and stuff like that. But I do like Buddy Murphy in ring. I don't really care. And if him and Aleister Black join together and Buddy Murphy is joins the House of Black, I'll be invested in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind. I personally, I'd keep Black on his own for a while. Just let him build it up himself. But, go for it.
Yeah, but, okay, so it's be interesting to see where Buddy Murphy goes. But as AEW goes, that's how you do it. Obliterate Cody Rhodes. Fucking cool-ass look. Cool theme song. And just aggressive heel Aleister Black with no WWE kind of restrictions. Sounds very, very exciting. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does next. But yeah, we talked about a lot. We're nearing the hour mark. For the first time in a long time, it's time to do some recommendations. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll talk about it. Well, hopefully we will be back next week. I promise. We will try and get back onto a regular schedule. Episode 104. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. I hate Kieran, so I'll see if I like him next week. But Kieran, have you got any recommendations? It's been a while, so I'm expecting some good stuff.
Not really. Spider-Man Miles Morales is the big one. I haven't really done much because I went to Galway for a couple of nights last week. It was a great time. The big one, Spider-Man Miles Morales, great game, really good. Really loving it. Had a great time. Took a while to get into because especially at the start, the writing is so shit, especially compared to the first game. But then it gets better as it goes on. So give that a go, everyone.
Yeah. As for myself, I'm so bad into YouTube. I'm so uncultured. Honestly, I just watch YouTube all the time. And Love Island. I'm watching Love Island. That's happening. Kill me dead. I don't know how I'm invested in other people's sex lives, but it is what it is. I'd like to recommend Boba Tea. Me and Reese isn't there anymore. Me and Reese have got hooked on Boba. I've been hooked on it before, but I got Reese hooked on Boba Tea. It's like the kind of tea that has the pellets of syrup in the bottom. Go and try some Boba Tea. It's really nice. It's different fruit flavors and stuff. Very, very nice. Just the usual podcast Jack Mate's Happy Hour. There's some really good episodes on there right now. A wide range of different kind of guests and topics. They did a rip off of Room 101, and kind of just some different stuff. Yeah. So other than that, that's about it. Obviously, check us out. Check the lads over the Alleged out. They're doing their weekly. They're a lot better than us doing their weekly shows. Their weekly live shows on Discord. Go check out that Discord server. It's fantastic. Carnage, but it's fantastic. So yeah, Kieran. Thank you everybody for listening. Thanks, Toby. Kieran, it's time to take it home. We are literally 35 seconds away from an hour, which is beautiful. I will see you guys soon. Kieran, let's take it home.
Well, I have been your host, Kieran Brennan. With me as always, my co-host.
The man whose names forgot rain. We'll see you next week, hopefully, maybe, possibly.
And as we say at the end of every episode of the Hall Wrestling Podcast, it isn't we are NXT, it's we were NXT.
Oh.
Oh.
Powerful. That was powerful.